Except by some community accounts, a certain pattern was beginning to start as early as 2018. That slowly became more apparent in 2022, and at this point it became impossible to ignore. This pattern involved Mads leaving her Patreon dormant for months on a subscription tier people were actively paying for. Then on the very last a month, sometimes within the last few hours, Maddie would post a bunch of videos at once. Patrons started looking at these and realizing something was off. Some of these videos were like only 30 seconds long, but looped to fill out a full runtime, giving the illusion it was a 3 to 4 minute video when in actuality it was just one big lie. And the Reddit community caught on to this in real time, because a post on r/MadsASMR, a subreddit about her, called out one of her videos titled "Repeating It's Not Your Fault," talked about how every single minute into 11 minutes, 12 minutes and 30 seconds, 13 minutes and 40 seconds, and 14 minutes and 50 seconds, there's a frog in her throat and it cuts. It's literally a 32-second clip that's been looped for like 30 times. If you can't even sit down for 10 minutes for your main source of income, that supposedly is just barely making you scrape by, you'd think you'd put a little care into the content. To which another Redditor replied, "It strikes me as odd when someone who claims to work their sick ass off, her words not mine, can't film for more than 3 minutes at a time, but can make 20 minutes of an unlooped video and write page-long essays about what she's dealing with health-wise. This is definitely a choice." Oh, and remember that disclaimer I told you to remember on early in the video? Do you remember it? Why yes, she said in her descriptions that they might loop due to her health. You're such a good listener. With this in mind, it became extra hard to give the benefit of the doubt here for Mads ASMR. Because the loop disclaimer, the thing that Maddie would later frame as a health accommodation, had been sitting in her video description since 2019. So because of this, it allowed her to have a ready-made explanation in the public record before patrons ever noticed the problem. Whether that's honest disclosure or a pre-positioning move on her end to not be in the wrong for something that is actually not okay, well, I'll leave for you to decide on that. But the Patreon problems didn't stop at just poor last-minute delivery. You see, she also had a pattern of promising custom-paid personalized videos that were never delivered. In short, patrons would pay for a one-of-one ASMR video made by Maddie that would in turn just never get made. And it wasn't just custom videos either. She would announce things like a live watch party for the Vampire Diaries, saying when would be best, tomorrow, Thursday, day after tomorrow, Friday, XOXO, love and light, and then just never do it. When patrons asked respectfully about missing content or even asked for refunds, she would just block them. Literally just straight up remove them from the Patreon and then never address it. One commenter wrote that she got kicked off Patreon for pointing out that the catch-up videos at the end of the month were just 30-second clips on loop. Another one pointed out that Maddie was reposting even her old videos but as new Patreon content, and even taking paid Patreon content and putting it on YouTube for free, which kind of defeats the whole entire point of having a Patreon in the first place if you're just going to give your paid exclusive content out to your YouTube audience. When the complaints became public enough that a YouTube response seemed necessary, Maddie eventually posted a video, which has since been deleted, claiming everyone was overreacting and that she had refunded everyone, which was another lie. But the people she was calling liars had already been blocked by her and couldn't respond. Pretty good strategy if you want to look like the good guy, if you ask me. Block everyone in your sites and monitor everything like the monkey from Toy Story 3. Did she take a playbook out of a Lloyd ASMR booklet? And here's where it gets pretty interesting. Because Maddie eventually posted one of her crashed out posts, and in it, without seeming to realize what she was admitting, she wrote, "I refund anyone and everyone. That was a pattern years ago in my darkest times." Redditors on subreddit were quick to point out the contradiction with one writer. She did make and immediately delete the video, saying she always refunded, but now tells on herself and admits that all patterns were telling the truth, by admitting that that pattern was years ago. relying to the pattern that if anyone asked for a refund, she would just block them. In trying to defend herself, she confirmed exactly what she had been denying for the entire time. Pretty awesome, if you ask me. Here's the thing, though. Maddie's Patreon at peak was reportedly bringing in somewhere between $3,000 and $15,000 a month, allegedly. Add that up with any one-on-one videos, and she could be making a pretty penny off this Patreon. Now, someone pulling in that kind of money isn't financially desperate. I mean, she was literally running a paid subscription service that gave her free money, and then she just got to decide at random points that when people that were paying her didn't really need to get what they paid for. And if they spoke up about it, well, they got blocked. By 2023, Maddie had publicly claimed she was dealing with multiple chronic conditions: Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, and tachycardia. Apologies if I pronounced any of those wrong. Please feel free to correct me in the comments, as I know you will anyways. However, to play devil's advocate for a second, these conditions listed are very much real conditions and do allow for serious problems to occur. But there were a couple anomalies towards Mads that were also happening while she was admitting these very serious claims. You see, the community started noticing inconsistencies throughout her posts. One day she would post on Patreon claiming she was ER level sick, but that same day she'd be actively posting to social media. Now, to play devil's advocate again, which would really just be playing her side, this content could have been batched ahead of time for emergencies when she was sick and couldn't physically post. So I will give her the benefit of the doubt. But the bedridden posts followed by her drinking and partying, well, I can't really defend that. As what is the purpose of batching content like that? If not for maybe personal gain to show people she's having fun, which would negate her memo that she is trying to instill on her fans that she is doing unwell, and that's the reason why she can't post. The commenter who posted it wrote, "Confused since your last Patreon post said that you were sick, so you can't post on there and in the hospital, and yet you are here completely fine." Maddie's reply to that comment was a long defensive paragraph that ended with, "I'm not quite sure why this world, when you're chronically ill, wants you to lay in bed, but then calls you lazy. And if you get up, then you're a faker. It's quite frankly absolutely disgusting and very harmful." And this wasn't just a one-time post either. She would also talk about her medication with community members, sharing repeated screenshots of her writing things like, "Last month I was dropped off my insurance. I have heart medication that I'm without. I'm debilitated in bed, and the medication runs around $600 to $800 a month." And if that didn't help, people with actual diagnosed chronic conditions started saying things in the comments about how it didn't add up. The subreddit also flagged something else around the same period. A community post posted by one of her Instagram photos that had an AI info tab, indicating that the content may have been AI generated. And if you actually zoom into the image, you can see one of her fingers appear to be visibly thinner and almost cut off. Some commenters said the bed didn't even look real, and the ceiling had a strange quality to it. Now again, chronic illnesses have good days and bad days, so just because she was fine one day and bad the other doesn't mean we can conclude that she was faking this. However, in May of 2025, something happened, and this was something nobody could really defend. You see, Maddie posted a community update which included a long emotional post about her mental health. Just one small detail about this community update. She forgot to delete the ChatGPT prompt at the top of the post. The community, of course, caught it within hours before it was promptly deleted. Her response to this was just to edit the post, remove the prompt, and add a new claim to it and post it. With the claim being that she had suffered a traumatic brain injury, which conveniently explained why she couldn't write the post herself. Then, according to community posts, she edited the post again to say her YouTube was about to shut down, as if she was about to leave the platform entirely. Which also didn't happen, she just kept posting, as I mentioned. Right around this time, she pinned a comment to one of her YouTube videos before turning off comments entirely that read, "We don't always have to agree with or understand why someone makes the choices they do, but I hope we can all stay kind and respectful. No need to tell me you no longer respect me. I respect myself, and I'm doing what I need to do. Unless you choose to pay for someone else's medical expenses along with living expenses, rethink the judgment that comes to mind. I lose health insurance at the end of July 2025, and my heart rate medication alone is $600 to $800 plus living expenses." This is the moment a lot of long-term fans on her channel started checking out. Oh, and there's one more piece of the Patreon timeline that matters on its own, and I'll be brief about it. At some point, she made a full pivot to OF, with also Maddie introducing a spicy tier with Patreon, which was content that showed her off in lingerie and adult-adjacent content. People subscribed to it understanding what they were getting. Then she changed the terms, rightfully just pulling everyone under the rug, with new terms to follow. You see, she moved the actual spicy content behind a separate paywall after people who already signed up without disclosing that at the point of the purchase. So, the people who subscribed to the spicy tier had to pay again to access the content they thought they already paid for. What's even worse is the story of a mother who was not subscribed to the spicy tier received a Patreon email blast containing an explicit photo of Maddie, and her child saw it. When some of her longer-term followers pushed back on the adult content pivot, even respectfully, the replies weren't exactly warm. One follower then with her for over 5 years sent a DM saying she felt ASMR and OF should be kept separate. Not out of judgment, but because kids also use their pages for comfort and sleep. Maddie's reply was a long paragraph that ended with, "The audacity you have to think you have a say over the pictures I post. You can unfollow, but don't make false claims." And when another follower commented about having OF fatigue watching the women she followed pivot to that kind of content, Maddie replied publicly by saying, "Throwing women under the bus to center men's comfort is your clear internalized misogyny. That framing is not welcome here." Which again is a take some people might agree with on its own, but it just lands differently when it's the response to a longtime subscriber just politely expressing a concern they have. Maddie eventually launched a full OF instead of just doing it on her Patreon. And at least one of the posts, according to people who paid for it, was, you guessed it, a looped video, which was the same strategy from her Patreon, just on a new platform and a much higher price tag. Now, somewhere in 2023 to 2024, because of all this drama, her more popular sister, Grace V, started pulling away from Mads.
Help! We need help! Tindon lost his heart!
So the market has a clock.
So the Realtor.com market clock tracks data like inventory, time on market, buyer demand, so you know what to expect when you buy or sell.
Well, I'm on the clock, so I gotta go.
If you didn't know, Clio is a cash invest app where you can get up to $250. Now, I already know what you're thinking. What about my credit? Well, there's no credit checks with Clio. And even better, there's no interest. So if all you need is $75, you'll just have to pay $75 back. No minimum direct deposit needed, no pay stubs, no W-2 forms. And to top it all off, you get to choose the repayment date that works best for you. So if you're ready to stop ghosting those bills, do yourself a favor.
I was at the store with $12 in my account and an empty fridge. Payment still 3 days away.
Nobody can give the exact date because she didn't make a big announcement about it herself, but rather it leaked out to pieces as content got published. The first public signal came in April of 2023, the same window as the Patreon blow-up, where Maddie posted a Patreon video later deleted in which she stated she had no longer had contact with her siblings. At the same period, Grace uploaded a YouTube video where about 5 minutes in, she said she needed to disengage and step away from a family member for her own mental health. And it's subtle enough that Grace can plausibly deny it was not aimed at anyone, but timed closely enough that the subreddit noticed immediately. She never named Maddie in the video, and she didn't have to, as the shoe fit the situation very well. Fast forward to 2024, and we see that Grace has gotten engaged, she got married, and her daughter Aurora was born in August of 2024. Grace posted a celebration to Instagram, and her channel kept moving forward. But sadly, Maddie wasn't really a part of any of it. The sister, who was once in half her videos, was just gone from her channel. And that's when people started asking about what had happened, mostly from Maddie's own videos and from community members piecing things together on Reddit. And what was discovered was a lot heavier than anyone expected. So as we move forward, I want to establish that these are statements that are alleged and mentioned in Reddit threads and posts made by Maddie. According to Maddie's own public statements across multiple videos, she has alleged that she was SA'd by a man connected to Grace's husband. The most consistent version of the story, based on compiled community accounts, is that a man was Maddie's ex-boyfriend. According to Maddie's public statements, where she told family what happened, Grace and the rest of the family did not believe her. Now, in a July 2025 post she titled "Heartbreaking for a Cruel Empathy Lacking Work," where she put it all in one place, writing, 2 to 3 years ago I went through a miscarriage, SA, and a life attempt, and then entered my mental health recovery program for a year. I deeply regret my inability to communicate it at all. I was just barely keeping my head up. And then later that same post, she said, I can't keep being called the horrific things I am. The threat saying I'm a drug addict and I'm making up my SA, and I'm a scammer. I refund to anyone who asks. I try so hard up and out for everyone here. But at the same time, Grace has never publicly responded to any of these claims. Not the allegations, not the estrangement, nor the deleted videos. Her silence is consistent. Whether you read that as her respecting privacy, protecting her family, or something else entirely, that read is on you. Because in the end of this, none of these claims have been independently verified. They just exist as serious public allegations from one person, with no court records, no journalism, and no second source. There's also the Mama Mick situation. You see, Mama Mick, another ASMR creator, had a line with Maddie during the estrangement period. According to community accounts, used Grace lined up for a podcast. But Grace had then ghosted her and blocked her. Mama Mick then made a TikTok comments that publicly announced that Grace had left. Simultaneously, Maddie wouldn't do a TikTok live, telling fans to not mention her. Mama Meg later walked back on a TikTok comment and said her reaction was emotional, and said that she still held Grace to a high regard. One more detail I want to mention is that Grace reportedly also has the same diagnosis that Maddie had. She mentioned in a recent video that her case is mild, which she attributes to her lifestyle. But you know, to note in context that these sisters have the same diagnosis, yet there are two different public presentations of it online. In early August 2025, right around a week of Lauren's first birthday, Maddie posted an inaudible whisper video. Inaudible whispers is a style of ASMR where the creator whispers quietly to the audience. The video was about 30 minutes long and Grace was the subject she posted. She really remembered timestamp and transcribed the audio before the video came down. And at 12:11, Maddie said she asked Grace to get family therapy and person use. At 12:22, she quotes Grace emotionally and verbally and says there's no way you can say anything different. At 12:07, she says, but then I'm like, so, then I'm not. And quickly, and then kind of my wall it up. At 12:12, she said that Grace told Maddie that boyfriend that something about abuse, but never told me. I was never told. The implication is that Grace knew about the ex's history with other women and withheld that information from Maddie. If Grace's husband and this man were close enough that Grace had information about him and Grace didn't pass it along, that would be a pretty terrible thing to do to Maddie if she's telling the truth. Which, if we noticed her track record so far, she isn't the best at doing that. At 13:50, Maddie directly quotes Grace, or someone in Grace's circle having said, Maddie doesn't get it. She lied about being hot. Maddie calls this disgusting at 15:45. Why can't you just text message, hey, I'm going to respect? I would have so much respect for her if she just said, hey, Maddie, but there's no respect. Just text right after text, no reply. And calls and letting it ring and never getting back. I'm just so exhausted being the villain. Absolutely exhausted. At 17:20, she asks someone in the conversation not to bring up her sister's name, and she gets emotional at the mention at 18:26, where she says, people make my sister out to be like she's some Disney princess and I'm Maleficent. It's unfair. At 18:43, she says, I'm about done with the bullying, the harassment, the nastiness. I am this close to shutting down my YouTube channel and Patreon, and I'm sure it would make my sister very happy. At 20:22, she requests that her audience not bring up her sister's baby, or her sister's husband. And that's just about all our hardworking patrons on the internet were able to transcribe. Maddie also reportedly admitted in the video about being a bad person, and said she apologized to Grace multiple times. She said by her own account that she had not seen or spoken to Grace in 6 to 8 months. There's one complication about this worth flagging, though. On a late June 2025 Patreon grocery haul, Maddie apparently mentioned Grace casually. That's weeks before the video where she says she hasn't spoken to her for 6 to 8 months. Whether the break happened after the grocery haul or whether the timeline in the Whisper video was imprecise, it isn't clear. But important to point out regardless, as it shows Maddie once again unable to clearly determine a timeline of events to her audience. The community's awareness of this is a post that says, ever since people have been posting on this subreddit, she deleted her Patreon chat, removed a bunch of videos from YouTube, turned off Patreon comments, and started giving disclaimers on her haul videos and more. Pretty sure she's reading this page every day. And because of this, she deleted that video. If you're going to make a serious public accusation against your own sister, packaging it inside an ASMR trigger video and then removing it once people transcribe it is a strange way to go about it, in my opinion. But you really can't argue that this video was timed and worded in a way that made it very hard for the community not to connect it to her sister situation. Going off that, a defense for Maddie actually did show up. In December of 2025, a video went up on Maddie's own YouTube channel with the title, Some Real Truth About Matt's ASMR, in parentheses, beautiful words from Uncle Matt. Posted by a man named Matthew Albrock, Maddie's godfather, someone she calls Uncle Matt. Now, I will say, a friend vouching for you is one thing, but this was a man who watched her grow up, speaking on her behalf from her own channel.
Hi, my name is Matthew Albrock. I am Maddie's godfather, she called me.
Am I allowed to download my Bigo Lives to YouTube and Facebook? Will it let me do that? Bigo lets you download the lives. Does Bigo allow you to download the lives to YouTube?
Here's a secret tip hackers don't want you to know about. With this app called Malwarebytes, your phone, desktop, or any other device will be protected 24/7. It has a web blocker that keeps you safe from phishing sites and fake links, a VPN to keep your browsing private, and a virus cleaner that scans and removes hidden malware with just a few clicks. It even protects you from identity theft.
Let me tell you something. Like this woman caught her boyfriend cheating. So her get back when something you expect. I don't think you would do that. At least I don't think you would do that. She didn't have to go to the car wash to get her get back. She didn't have to go to the club to get her get back, or the mall to get her get back. Her get back was knocking on her goddamn door, delivering the packages. One day, he out to deliver a package, and she gave him a package.
I slept with my FedEx driver. Now, before y'all judge me, before y'all get to judge me, let me tell you everything y'all need to know before y'all get to judge me. So, my husband was cheating on me the whole entire time. He has a baby on the way, he had a girl, the girl calling me, telling me all the information. Well, first she texted me on Instagram, she was in my requests. So me and her get talking, she gave me her number, we go on the phone, start talking, she's pregnant, all of that tea. So I'm like, okay, cool. Mind you, the whole time, the FedEx driver is fine as fuck. And I see him almost every day because he delivers packages every day. So he will give me like little compliments here and there, like, oh, you're beautiful, I hope you have a good day, or you know, whatever. Boy stuff.
Okay, so this tells me one good goddamn thing. Women always know who got next. There's some kind of imaginary line in these women head. They got a waiting room and they got their head. They know who they finna let get next. Cause the whole time she in a whole relationship with Vivian Buckle Tip. And she been eyeing this FedEx driver knocking on her door. And she was waiting on the opportunity to get her goddamn rocks off. And this was the perfect opportunity, being the fact that his boyfriend was cheating with Becky with the good hair. And now Becky pregnant. So she felt like it was the shot to get a FedEx driver some rocks. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so one day, my husband is home and his phone keeps going off and off and off and off and off and off and off. And I'm trying to figure out, why the fuck is your phone ringing right now at 2 in the morning? Like, what's happening? Is there an emergency happening? Like, I don't know. Pick up his phone. It says AT&T. Bitch, AT&T is not calling you. Bitch, AT&T is not calling you at 2 a.m. So I'm like, okay, cool. Go through the phone, go through AT&T's messages. Most of the messages are deleted, but there's still like a little bit in the conversation at the bottom. So it's like he deleted the message and then she replied, because like the message, like, it didn't make sense. Like, it was like a random message. It wasn't like a what are you doing, or like a where are you at, or like a, it was like they was in the middle of a conversation, he deleted it, and then there was the rest of the messages there.
So at that moment, why you ain't just leave? See, the first position any female comedian is a relationship they can't afford to leave. Tyrone cheating with AT&T because he can afford both of y'all. But cheating is a rich man's sport, or in Tyrone's position, a man with a job sport. But when you catch your ass cheat, because you don't do nothing but stay home and go live all day and do story times all day. When he catch you sleeping with the goddamn FedEx man, you and the driver gonna be homeless. This ain't gonna end well.
So I'm reading the messages, Mark. After I seen the message between him and that girl, I'm looking through everything. I'm looking through Instagram, looking through Facebook, Snapchat, everything you would think of. And guess what's on his phone? Bumble. And if you don't know what Bumble is, Bumble is dating app. So, word, I bet. So I just put that in the back of my head. Because my thing is this. You're not finna play with me like I'm dumb. You're not finna play with me like you just finna be out here doing what you want to do and I'm just gonna be here sitting like a fucking dummy. Like, that never gave me. So, he went to work the next day. As he should. I was off of work. The FedEx driver came to bring a package. So I asked him, like, you want some water? Like, it's hot as fuck out there. You want some water? I know you're thirsty type shit. You know what I mean? Boom. I said, you come inside, you know, whenever you came to the house, we gave him some water. We were having little mini conversations. But I had like, I had a roll on with a little, yeah. We did what we did. And I don't regret it. Because that's what the fuck we had. Do I feel bad? No. Should you judge me? No, because I feel like that's what it is. Like, you have a baby on the way. Why the fuck would I sit here and be loyal to you when you've been not loyal to me? Anyways. Yeah.
Ready to learn more about Entivio today? Talk to your healthcare provider and visit Entivio.com. With Entivio, you may be able to pay as little as $0 per dose. Plus, our team can help connect you with additional support programs.
Entivio.
This is how I look on Facebook. This is how I look on Instagram. This is how I look on LinkedIn. But this is how I look on Tango. Real, raw, completely alive. Unleash your wild side with Tango.
You and I were both lied to since childhood. We were told, since we were her age, that we had to save a cat.
Yeah. Now, first of all, Tyrone ain't see you as a soulmate. He saw you as his playmate, and that's why he was on the goddamn dating app like Bumble, trying to find him a goddamn skill accepting application. You went in, and secondly, using your coaching as a get back tool, as some kind of community goddamn you can give it out to the community drivers. That ain't no get back. That's your twat. You one gotta handle the fact that you gave your body up to another stranger. Your boyfriend might be dead wrong, but the kettle can't call the pot black. I didn't even think in your right mind that this a W. That's what you did. Child, when the only one who really won in this situation was the FedEx guy. So you didn't have to pay none of your bills, take you out to eat, or even deal with your emotional bullshit. He just smashed and left you there with the wet wipe or the hot rag or whatever you did when you wiped out when he left. And now you online letting everybody know just how weak you really is. Because all you had to do was pack your boyfriend up and pack your shit up and go stay with your mama there until you get back up on your feet. But you ain't do that. But apparently, Mom Quisha ain't the only one that FedEx driver hit. Karen and Becky done joined the chat too. They cheating on their husband with UPS driver over there in the white community. This
I love the UPS driver here. Open Marriage Chronicles, yes, I have open marriage. My husband does not care. If anything, he's like, good, make sure those packages are coming, on time and they don't get misdelivered because they used to always have it to us. Well, not anymore. I have these big windows in front of my house so I can always see, like, the mailman, whoever comes to the door. We also have this different neighborhood where there's no mailboxes on the street. They literally have to come to the door, which obviously, like, UPS, they don't do that anyways. But we have had the same UPS driver, Mr. Matchett, for a couple years now, and I work from home, so I like truly get to know all these people because I'm the type of person who like I eventually will smile. Oh my god, especially this guy. He had no business having calves with me. But I open the door and give them like an energy drink or like a little bag of chips or something. And the other day he was bringing up a package, and the thing is I had taken a spicy food like 5 minutes beforehand, and I was going to do some flicking of the free codes, the flicking of it, and I had to sign for this package. So I opened the door. This man was giving me such boo-boo eyes. I mean, maybe I misinterpreted, but I don't think so. So I was like, can you take a break? Well, that 15-minute break quickly turned into an hour and a half. So you had a package that arrived late. I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry.
And I wanted to bet you. That UPS driver, FedEx driver, whatever he was mad. Because she been peeking out that window every day looking for him. Hoping he come up. She probably was online ordering shit every day just to purpose to get this man to come knock on her door. Hoping he the one knock on her door. But the difference in these two scenarios is this woman is in an open marriage. Her and her husband go to the playground and swing on with each other. That's what they do, they swing. Meanwhile, the other girl just looking for an excuse to bust it off. But what I'm noticing is, I'm in the wrong profession. Because it seems like he delivery driver, dropping off boxes and picking up boxes too, and giving the jukebox for the free. They ain't got to deal with the in-house problem. They got to pay these real bills. They ain't got to pay no car note, monthly allowances, none of that. Y'all might want to go down there and put in an application, because you women opening doors and they ready for gas. Have you ever let your UPS driver in? Comment below and let Uncle Nino know if you want to keep it private. Text my phone with your story, 786-310-3112. Comment below if you married right now, but you got a fine UPS driver delivering your goddamn boxes and you want to give him some box. Let Uncle Nino know. I ain't gonna tell nobody. Comment below if you're a UPS or a FedEx driver that done knocked some boot while he was on the goddamn job. Comment below, let Uncle Nino know. Put me up on game so I can go get me a brown uniform with the UPS goddamn package on the thing and put on me some jewelry and go knock on some doors smelling good so I can make some good. Comment below, let me know in the comment. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure you share this video, baby. Hey.
Insurance companies are trying to remove a viral social media video that claims people involved in a car accident in the last year could receive up to 10 times more for their settlement without hiring a lawyer or going to court. Watch the full story now.
Hey, did you know you might get a big cash payout if you were in a car accident up to 1 year ago? Even if you were driving, just click the link around this video to see how much you can get. Just
what's going on, fam, man? It's your big bro Train. You tuned in to another. What's going on, fam, man? It's your big bro Train. You tuned in to another exclusive video. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you for tuning in and listening to this powerful message that I'm about to tell you. Okay? I didn't know what video to make today. But it came to me in a download, like it always do. So this is the message that I have for you today. Listen to this message and live by every word that I'm telling you in this message, because I think this is a prophetic message. Alright? I don't know if y'all been having a lot of dreams lately. Okay? There's some strange stuff going on in the world right now, y'all. And nobody knows what's happening. Nobody knows what's going on. It's so much events going on. There's so much weird stuff going on right now that you should not go outside not unless you really have to. Just put it like that. All right. This is the your own domain, your place you stay at, wherever you live at. That is the most safest place you could be right now because it's definitely not outside. There's some real spiritual stuff going on outside. Okay, and I'm telling you this by my own personal experiences, like what I've been telling y'all in the past few videos. Even I have seen and been in the midst of some really strange shit in the past few weeks. And I'm in a whole nother country. Okay, so that tells me right there that whatever is going on is not just in one place. This is a worldwide situation that we're facing right now. Okay, but before I tell y'all more about this situation in the world right now that we're living in, these times that we're living in, you already know I got it on deck. Yeah, water on deck, y'all. We drinking water until we turn into walking oceans. Okay? We need this water right now in these times in order to have a clear mind, in order to have a sound mind, in order to have a peaceful emotional system. Water is life. You have to put this in your body right now and refrain from all that other BS that you be doing. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. You see me right, look. And I mix mine with the very best, the Berry Glazed Elixir. All red veggies, all red fruits in one container. All veggie capsules, okay? No chemicals, none of that processed stuff. This is 100% organic, and you can put it in your water, drink it all day long, and you're gonna feel good just like Big Bro Trend. Make sure you get yourself, click the link after the video at the bottom, trendsupplements.com, and get you some. Now, of course, you ain't gotta drink a whole bunch of water like every day, all the time, but, you know, mix it up sometime and get a fruit drink or something like that, or, you know, like I had a Pepsi the other day just to, you know, for indigestion reasons and stuff like that. You can still, you know, thug it a little bit, but I'm just saying, put majority of this in your body, man. You gotta have this in these crazy times that we're living in, because this is life force, all right? So drinking your water is great right now, okay?
Dropping lips, daytime. And I picked this lady up. She said, "Hey, how you doing?" I said, "I'm doing good. How about yourself?" She was like, "I'm good." She, you know who I am? She said, "My name is Lily. I'm a sucker."
No.
The most dangerous person in your life.
Everybody listen up.
I had 101 votes. Well then, so would you want to tell it or not? Because I do.
Few people realize that the kindest person in the room is often carrying the heaviest emotional weight. An empath is not simply someone who cares deeply. An empath is someone who feels deeply. They absorb emotions, notice unspoken pain, and often spend their lives trying to bring comfort to people who may never fully understand what they give in return. Because of their patience, their compassion, and their willingness to forgive, many people make a dangerous mistake. They assume an empath will always be there. They assume that no matter how many times trust is broken, promises are ignored, or feelings are dismissed, the empath will continue to stay, continue to understand, and continue to give. That belief has destroyed more relationships than most people realize. The truth is that empathy is often mistaken for weakness, when in reality it requires tremendous emotional strength. It takes strength to remain kind when disappointed. It takes strength to remain patient when hurt, and it takes even greater strength to keep seeing the good in people after being let down again and again. What makes this so important is that empaths rarely react the way people expect. They do not always argue. They do not always seek revenge. They do not always announce that they have reached their limit. Instead, they absorb pain quietly for months or even years. They carry emotional burdens that nobody sees. They make excuses for the people they care about. They convince themselves that things will improve. But beneath that calm surface, pressure continues to build. And when that pressure finally reaches its limit, the outcome can be shocking not only for the empath, but for everyone around them. Many people never notice the warning signs until it is already too late. They only recognize the value of the empath after the connection has changed forever. In this video, you will learn what an empath really is, why their kindness is so often misunderstood, what slowly pushes them toward their breaking point, and why the consequences of breaking an empath can be far more severe than most people expect. You will also discover lesser-known truths about emotional exhaustion, silent detachment, and the powerful psychological shift that happens when someone who has given everything finally decides they can give no more. Most importantly, you will understand why the moment an empath stops fighting for a relationship is often the moment the other person begins to realize what they have lost. The final part of this video reveals the consequence that catches most people completely off guard, so make sure you stay with us until the end. If you're interested in human behavior, psychology, relationships, and the hidden patterns that shape people's actions, you're in the right place. Welcome to the channel, and if you're new here, subscribe now and join us for more insights into the human mind and the behaviors that most people never notice until it's too late. Most people look at an empath and see kindness. They see patience. They see someone who listens, someone who forgives, and someone who seems willing to understand almost anything. What they usually do not see is the amount of emotional pressure hidden beneath that calm surface. One of the biggest reasons empaths endure behavior that others would leave behind is because they naturally try to understand before they judge. While most people see actions, an empath often sees the pain behind those actions. When someone becomes distant, an empath wonders what they might be struggling with. When someone becomes rude, an empath looks for the hurt that may be causing it. When someone disappoints them, they search for explanations before reaching conclusions. This ability to understand people is one of their greatest strengths, but it can also become one of their greatest vulnerabilities. Because while other people may recognize a red flag and immediately walk away, an empath often stays longer than they should. They convince themselves that the person deserves another chance. They believe that everyone makes mistakes. They remind themselves that nobody is perfect, and little by little, they continue investing emotional energy into situations that may no longer deserve it. The difficult part is that most empaths do not realize how much they are carrying. They become so focused on helping others that they stop paying attention to their own emotional needs. They listen to problems, they offer support, they absorb stress. They become the safe place people run to when life becomes difficult. Friends call them during emotional crises. Family members depend on them during hard times. Partners lean on them whenever problems appear. Over time, this can create a dangerous imbalance. The empath becomes everyone else's source of comfort while having very few places where they can unload their own emotional weight. Many people assume that because an empath appears strong, they do not need support themselves. But strength does not eliminate emotional exhaustion. In many cases, it hides it. What makes this even more complicated is that empaths constantly give people the benefit of the doubt. A promise gets broken. They forgive it. A boundary gets crossed. They overlook it. Their feelings get hurt. They tell themselves it was not intentional. Again and again, they choose understanding over self-protection. This pattern often comes from a sincere belief that people deserve compassion. The problem is that some individuals learn to depend on that compassion without respecting it. They begin expecting endless patience. They start assuming that no matter what happens, the empath will remain available. As a result, unhealthy behaviors slowly become normal. What would have been unacceptable in another relationship becomes tolerated simply because the empath continues giving chances. At first, this does not seem dangerous. In fact, it may even look admirable. The empath appears loyal, supportive, understanding. But beneath the surface, emotional exhaustion is quietly growing. It rarely arrives all at once. It builds slowly. One disappointment adds a little weight. One broken promise adds a little more. One moment of feeling unappreciated creates another layer. Individually, these experiences may not seem significant. Together, they create a burden that becomes heavier over time. The empath keeps carrying it because they care. They keep carrying it because they hope things will improve. They keep carrying it because walking away feels harder than staying. Yet every emotional wound leaves a mark, even when it is hidden. Many people believe emotional burnout happens suddenly. In reality, it often develops so gradually that the person experiencing it barely notices. An empath may wake up one day feeling tired without understanding why. They may feel less enthusiastic about conversations they once enjoyed. They may begin needing more time alone. They may feel emotionally drained after interactions that previously felt natural. These are not random changes. They are signs that emotional resources are being depleted faster than they are being restored. The empath continues giving while receiving less and less in return. This is where the first major misunderstanding begins. People expect breaking points to look dramatic. They expect arguments. They expect emotional explosions. They expect visible conflict. But empaths rarely reach their limit that way. Their breaking point is often silent. Instead of raising their voice, they become quieter. Instead of demanding attention, they pull back. Instead of creating confrontation, they begin creating distance. Because their emotional journey toward detachment starts long before anyone notices it. One of the earliest warning signs is reduced emotional investment. The empath who once checked in every day begins checking in less often. The person who used to remember every detail becomes less engaged. The individual who once put enormous effort into maintaining the connection slowly starts conserving energy. This change is easy to overlook because it happens gradually. There is no dramatic announcement, no major event. Just small shifts that become larger over time. Another warning sign is decreased effort. Empaths are often the people who keep relationships alive. They send the message first. They initiate conversations. They try to solve misunderstandings. They make sacrifices. They create opportunities for connection. When emotional exhaustion begins taking hold, these efforts start disappearing. Not because they suddenly stop caring, but because they are becoming tired of carrying responsibilities that should never have belonged to one person alone. Relationships require mutual effort. When only one person continues investing, fatigue becomes unavoidable. People frequently misinterpret this stage. They assume the empath is simply busy. They think it is a temporary mood. They expect things to return to normal. What they fail to understand is that emotional withdrawal rarely happens without a reason. The empath is not becoming distant by accident. They are responding to accumulated experiences that have slowly changed how they feel. The problem is that many individuals pay attention only when they start losing access to the empath's energy. They notice the silence. They notice the reduced attention. They notice the absence of effort. But by that point, the process has often been developing for a very long time. As emotional withdrawal continues, another shift begins to appear. The empath stops explaining. Earlier in the relationship, they may have expressed their concerns repeatedly. They may have communicated their feelings. They may have tried to solve problems through conversation. But after enough disappointment, many empaths begin believing that their words are no longer making a difference. Repeating the same concerns becomes exhausting. Explaining the same pain becomes exhausting. Eventually, silence starts feeling easier than continuing a conversation that never creates change. This silence is often misunderstood. People assume the problem has disappeared because the empath has stopped talking about it. In reality, the opposite may be true. The empath has stopped talking because they have started emotionally disconnecting from the outcome. The energy that once fueled endless discussions is fading. The desire to fight for understanding is fading. The hope that things will improve is fading. What remains is emotional distance. At this stage, many relationships reach a dangerous point because the warning signs remain invisible to those who are not paying attention. They continue assuming the empath will always be there. They continue relying on old patterns. They continue taking emotional support for granted. Meanwhile, the empath is quietly approaching the limit that few people recognize until it has already been crossed. The final breaking point rarely comes from one dramatic event. This is one of the biggest misconceptions about empaths. People often search for the single moment that ended everything. They look for one argument, one betrayal, one mistake, one decision. But most of the time, the truth is far more complicated. The breaking point is usually the result of accumulation. It is the combined weight of countless experiences stacked on top of each other over months or years. Repeated betrayal plays a major role in this process. Trust is one of the most valuable things an empath offers. They want to believe in people. They want to see the best in them. Every betrayal damages that trust. The first betrayal may be forgiven. The second may be understood. The third may be excused. But eventually, patterns become impossible to ignore. Trust begins eroding. Confidence begins fading. The empath starts realizing that understanding someone's behavior does not make that behavior acceptable. Lack of appreciation creates another powerful source of emotional damage. Many empaths spend years giving support without expecting much in return. They help because they care. They listen because they care. They sacrifice because they care. Yet every person needs to feel valued. Every person needs to feel seen. When appreciation disappears, the empath begins feeling less like a person and more like a resource. Their kindness becomes expected rather than respected. Their efforts become invisible. Their presence becomes taken for granted. Emotional manipulation creates even deeper wounds. Because empaths naturally care about other people's feelings, they are often vulnerable to guilt-based pressure. They may be made to feel responsible for problems they did not create. They may be convinced to ignore their own needs. They may be pushed into carrying burdens that belong to someone else. Over time, this creates a toxic cycle where the empath continues giving while receiving increasing emotional strain in return. One-sided relationships are another major factor. Healthy relationships involve balance. Both people contribute. Both people support each other. Both people make efforts to maintain the connection. In one-sided relationships, this balance disappears. The empath becomes the giver. The other person becomes the receiver. Day after day, month after month, the imbalance grows larger. The empath keeps investing because they care, but eventually they begin recognizing a painful reality. They are building a relationship alone. Perhaps the deepest wound of all comes from being valued only for what they provide. Some people appreciate
Are mom and pop's restaurants open on Sunday in Lexington, Kentucky?
You're asleep, completely out, drooling on your pillow, probably snoring, zero awareness of the world around you. You are, by every biological definition, helpless. Now, imagine you're not in your bedroom. You're in a tent, a thin piece of nylon, like embarrassingly thin, separating you from a forest full of animals that could
Asked me what my life was going to look like at 39. There's not a world that exists that I would have thought it would look like this. I definitely thought in my 20s that I was going to get married later in life, which would be like 30 instead of 25.
You're asleep, completely out.
Okay, should I get this or this? Gemini in Chrome? Which of these noise-canceling headphones has long battery life? This looks good.
Asked me what my life was going to look like at 39. There's not a world that exists that I would have thought it would look like this. I definitely thought in my 20s that I was going to get married later in life, which would be like 30 instead of 25. But I never was like really gung-ho on kids. I assumed that I would have them, but I thought it would be later, like 33. In fact, when I was in my 20s, I would always say the only thing worse than being married at 25 is single at 32, because I thought that single at 32 was literally a death wish, because that is what we were programmed to think. That's what society, marketing, patriarchy, and Disney movies have been telling us since we were so little. A marriage is a business contract. Most of them fail, and people spend a lot of money to get out of those contracts. I still believe in the institution of marriage, but I've had a bit of an enlightening about what it actually is. Women are handed this fantasy where our goal is to be chosen. Women are saying, I don't really need to be chosen. I choose myself, I choose my friends, I choose the people that bring actual value to my life. And because I can afford to live on my own, you don't bring as much value by only being a provider. Men now have to be more than just being a provider. Anyways, I could go on a lot of tangents about that. You can only just be present in the moment that you have right now, how you're showing up for yourself right now. Don't spiral into the future. Just cultivate a life that you love and watch the rest of it unfold, because what will be will be.
Bruh, they really out here rewriting history to cope with the present reality. I don't really need to be chosen. Yes, you do. Everybody wants to be chosen by someone they actually respect. But instead of adapting to what a man actually needs, peace, cooperation, respect, she wants to flip the script to suit her current lonely situation. This right here is exactly why brothers are shamelessly opting out in 2026. Why sign a contract to compete with someone who views your presence as an insult to her independence? We are good on that.
Like this is blowing my mind. Why everybody that I work with who is younger than me is getting married? Walking through the door with their pretty ass ring on their finger, and it's like I'm sitting there, I'm happy for them. I'm hella happy, you know, I'm gonna show them that I'm happy for them and all that good stuff, and I am. I'm more mad at my mother self. You know what I'm saying? After I celebrate with you real quick, okay, what color is your man? What color is your man? All these years I've been dating, and I'm a good girlfriend, like I know I am. I be cooking, cleaning, I'm not lazy, I stay in shape, got a good lifestyle, I'm not lazy, point blank period, not lazy, I'm loyal, like I don't get it, I got a whole degree, I'm educated in some more shit, like I'm not saying, oh, I should have been married first. It's more of like I gotta pick a whole new f***ing type, clearly, because guess what color they're not? Guess what color they're not? Guess. Guess. Drop it in the comments. What color do you think they're not? Like, that shit is crazy to me. And like I said, I apologize for cussing too much. It's just like, I have to pick a whole new type for real. Like, I really have to pick a whole new type to get what I'm looking for, because the other ones just give you dating. And drama and dating and problems and dating 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 and dating. Like, I'm genuinely happy for them though. You know, I don't envy their situation. I know comparison is a thief of joy, but it's just like, I'm not in a rush to get married. But it's like, the proposal part is literally just step one. That's step one in security for a woman. Like, I know I'm I'm not the problem, then my type is the problem.
It is actually funny watching them try to fake being happy for other women. She says she is celebrating with them, but the very next breath she is interrogating them about their man's race. That is pure bitterness leaking out. She genuinely thinks a ring is just a security blanket for her, not a lifelong commitment to a man. Brothers peep that selfish, extract-only energy from a mile away. Let her switch up her type all she wants. Those other dudes are going to see the exact same sense of entitlement we did and keep it moving.
Women, men are not chasing y'all anymore in this 2026. Best believe a lot of men now have their physical, mentally, and financial stability to the max. So if you guys want to play games and make him chase you and shit like that, nah, they ain't doing that anymore. They will replace you quick. So if you like a guy and he meets your standards in whatsoever way you know how to balance it with him, work with him because he will not chase you. Ladies, do not be wasting time. You like the guy, he likes you, he treats you good, and you want to treat him good as well, go for it. Don't make him try to chase you, man. Like, that's long, bro. Fuck. Like,
look, the days of begging for a seat at the table are done. This brother is speaking the gospel. If a man has his mental and physical state at the max, why would he waste his energy on a woman playing hard to get? That long chase is just code for manipulation. We have better things to do than decode maybe and check back later. If the energy is not reciprocated immediately, we are out. It's about self-respect. These women are mad because the leverage they thought they had has evaporated. You either walk with us or get left behind. It's that simple.
So I'm single at 37, and whenever people learn this about me, they always give me a little bit of a side eye, like, what's wrong with you? I'll tell you what's wrong with me. I am overqualified, okay? I'm overqualified for the men out there.
Sweetheart, that has to be the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. Yeah? But go ahead, I'm listening.
And I commented this on another creator's post recently, and that comment kind of blew up. It got over 24,000 likes and still counting. The women knew exactly what I was talking about. They were like, oh my God, yes, overqualified, that's the word. The men, on the other hand, felt personally attacked and felt like attacking me. They called me crazy and delusional.
I personally don't know if you're crazy, and I definitely don't think the men needed to attack you. But they might have a slight point in calling you delusional. I'll tell you why soon.
And some of them even said that I'm still single because I'm fat. As if fat women don't get harassed by men all the time. I mean, I wish my weight were enough for them to want to leave me alone, but it's not.
Look, fair enough that your weight doesn't stop men from coming after you. At the end of the day, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But recognize that there is a big difference between sexual attention and relationship intention. Just because men are coming after you doesn't necessarily mean they're coming for the reasons you think. You dig?
So when I say I'm overqualified, I'm not coming from a place of arrogance. I'm talking about being a responsible adult and a decent human being.
I can appreciate that.
And let's be honest, being a more decent human being than the average man is not hard at all. Like, we're not even trying. And I hear a lot of women say the bar is in hell when they are talking about men, but that's not true. The bar is even lower than that. Like, the bar is so low that it can't even get a whiff of hell's smell. That's how low it is. So let me give you an example to illustrate what I'm talking about. Two of my closest friends got engaged, and they both asked me to be their maid of honor, which I happily accepted, of course. And the way each of them asked me was so sweet. One friend rewrote the lyrics to Casey and JoJo's All My Life and actually sang the song to me. My other friend came over to pick me up, and when I came downstairs, I found her with her car doors open, standing in front of her car, doing a little happy dance. She had assembled a beautiful gift basket and a cute little handwritten note thanking me for our friendship. You know what I get from men? Send me some pics. My D is hard. You're the only one who can help me. Ugh, disgusting.
My dear, men and women are very different. Generally, men tend to be a lot less airy-fairy and sentimental when compared to women. So how they do things generally will differ to how ladies do it. But more importantly, why are you comparing a group of your lady friends to a select group of 4 romantic experiences? I get that you're trying to emphasize the quality of being human, but you kind of lose your point when you compare your female friends who have no romantic intent for you with a small group some of your male friends ask you to be their maid of honor. You dig?
So what we're basically asking for are men who are capable of being actual partners, men who are kind, caring, dependable, responsible.
Well, here's a newsflash. That kind of man actually exists. There's plenty.
Men who are actually adults instead of little man-children whose fragile egos and unregulated emotions we constantly have to tiptoe around.
Here's another newsflash. You don't have to deal with the kind of man you just described.
And one of the men commented under my response saying, "Oh, I'm too rich to buy a car, so that's why I prefer to walk." Do you not hear how stupid that sounds?
Actually, I think he's got a good point.
Hermanito, frérot, bruce, we would much rather walk, nay, crawl to our destination than get in a car that looks all shiny and new and safe, only to find out that that car is an absolute hazard to our security, to our safety, to our well-being, to our health.
Fair enough.
Women are done settling, and I love that for us.
I love it for you too. I think you should not settle. Keep your standards as high as you want. But it's important that within that framework, you remember that it is the cat who decides which milk is good. You dig? I don't mean to commodify women, but I need you to pay attention and entertain this analogy to make my point. Imagine that I want to sell this bottle of water for £50,000. Yeah? And regardless of what anybody says, I tell them to shut up. Because if they can't afford it, then this bottle is overqualified for them. Imagine I said that, and I'm selling it for £50,000 because I know the bottle's worth. Well, guess what? If nobody wants to buy it for 50k, then that means the market is telling me that it is not worth 50k. Because if it was, the market will buy it. You dig? So that means in order for me to sell it, I have to reassess what it's worth. So maybe I pitch it for 30k next time. If nobody buys it, then the market says it's not worth that. I have to take it down and keep reassessing until I can find a buyer. So, similarly, in the dating market, you can have your metaphorical price / your standards as high as you like. Fair enough. You know your worth. But really and truly, it's men who decide a woman's worth in the dating context. In the same way, it's women who decide a man's worth in the dating context. So, again, you can have your standards as high as you want. But are the men who qualify choosing you? Because if those men are not choosing you, then perhaps you ain't worth what you think you are. This is a hard truth a lot of ladies need to accept. It's men who choose for the long term. Yeah? It is the men who give the titles. So, have your standards as high as you want. But if ain't nobody buying, maybe you ain't that. Perhaps, in your world, you are overqualified for a lot of the guys you've experienced. But what about the men who actually fit the standard you want? Do you qualify for them? Because if they ain't choosing you, then perhaps you're actually underqualified for them. Just some food for thought.
To quote the great late Miss Whitney Houston, I'd rather be alone than unhappy.
Well, that's completely fair. On that note, peace.
Hey, watching the overqualified line get 24,000 likes just shows how many women are stuck in this echo chamber of delusion. They validate each other's failures instead of keeping it real. If you're 37 and still single despite cooking and cleaning and having a degree, the problem is your personality or your choice in men. But instead of fixing that, she claims she's a 50,000-pound bottle of water that nobody can afford. In reality, the men who actually have that currency are simply spending it on women who don't come with all that baggage and arrogance.
Social media have a lot of y'all women mindset. A lot of y'all women on social media, y'all going by what these celebrities, men giving their woman and stuff like that, and y'all want a man to do this and that and all this other stuff. When half of y'all never even had a rich man. Y'all don't even have friends that had a rich man. But y'all going by social media talking about y'all want this type of man and y'all never even experienced it. Y'all haven't even experienced rich man adjacent. I believe social media got y'all confused. How can you say if you're making $60,000 a year and you get with a man making $60,000 a year, how the hell you expect him to pay all the bills and take you on trips and do nice things? That is unrealistic. You're not. We have to come to the conclusion that some women will never date a rich man. You will never date a man in the 1%. And the fact that y'all wanted these men to do this and that because of what y'all see on social media and what the next woman getting, when y'all never experienced a man that's even in the 1%, y'all never even had a friend that dated a man in the 1%. So why the hell are you going on social media on something that you never even experienced?
Man, the God's timing line is the one that got me. That's the ultimate get out of jail free card for lack of accountability. They really think the creator is holding up their marriage because he's waiting for a billionaire to drop out of the sky into their living room. Meanwhile, they're ignoring good, solid brothers.
Later, Gators.
Because he doesn't have the private jet they saw on IG. It's funny. They'd rather stay single and blame the